This is David, and we have us a beautiful morning here after a rain last night here in northeast Texas. Just the third week of September. You can see I've done some work over by the mill. I got a slab poured for the sawmill shed. But before I build the shed, I'm going to install the new log stops, the vertical log stops. I've already started work on that. I got the demo done, pretty much done. I got the shaft collars that need to come off still, and I'll show you that here right now. So you can see all four of the log stops are off. They're all laying on the ground there. What has to still be done for the new brackets to be put on is those shaft collars right there in the side have got to come off of there. So as you can see, the shaft collars are gone. They came off relatively easy, just a little bit of grinding and cutting with a sawzall. So we're ready to go back on with the new vertical log stops. All right, I figured I'd go over some of the other things that got to be changed on the mill to put these vertical log stops on. You may not really need to have to change out your wheels like I did. Mine had 10-inch wheels on it. I went to 13s. These are 23 and 3/4 inches in diameter, where the others were 19 inches in diameter. So I needed to raise the whole bunk and everything all the way up to about 29 inches. Right now, this thing's sitting a little above 30. So I have clearance for the vertical log stop when it comes down. Needless to say, larger tires will let you get up there, but when you put the larger tires on, you also got to put some additional spacer block in between the frame and the axle carrier. I had to add 2 3/8. So those are all welded in. They're there. That's done. The other thing that you're going to end up needing to be changed is the log turner. This chain log turner is going to probably have to move over probably 3 to 4 inches. So it's going to have to be shortened. So while I'm doing that, I'll probably change the drive system I got on it, make it a little bit more compact. And I'll probably take this log turner. Right now it's just a straight flat log turner. If you'll notice, all the new ones have a little bit of a valley in them so that you're able to cradle the log. I'll probably put that in this one as well. I went ahead and cheated on this one. I was going to fabricate these, but I went ahead and spent the money and bought them from Timberking. These are the log stops that you see on their 2000 mills, essentially the TK2000, TK2020, TK2200, 2500, I think it is. So this is what you would get on them. I did have to make a modification to them, one so far, which is to cut 4 inches off the vertical log stop. So not a big deal. Just whack them off and drill and tap 2 new holes in here for the bottom bracket to bolt back on. Needless to say, I'll end up having to cut or shorten these chains by 4 inches. You have essentially 2 sprockets that come with it. These are 10-2 sprockets for the 50H chain, and I had to buy a sprocket for each one of these for the drive sprocket, which I have all stacked up over here like that. So same 10-2 sprocket. Let's go over some of the measurements. The bars themselves are 2-inch by 1.5 inches. Like I said, I cut 4 inches off of them. They are now 28 inches long. So there's your distance of what you need that bunk to be off the ground. Needless to say, you got to have an inch or so below this. So 29 inches probably minimum. 30 is probably better. I'm just over 30 right now where my mill sits. Flip this over. There you go. These pillow blocks did not come with it. I had to buy them separately. To drill the holes in the bunks, I made up a template and guide. So we'll move forward and start drilling these holes. I'll give you a little better look how all that is mounted in there. Alrighty, so I'm going to try to drill the last two holes. I already drilled the pivot hole right here, which is a 5/8 of an inch. These two are 1/2 inch. That allows you to pivot off, swing off of that to get it square, get the bracket square. I'll have to dress the weld up a little bit. Right now this is being held 7/16 of an inch off of this channel. And that's why every one of them will be set up. So let's try what's going to happen on this one. Alrighty, through the first side. Alrighty, so not too bad. That's a 1/2 inch hole. I'm gonna let that cool down a little bit. I try to shoot some oil up inside there, it'll help a little bit. So that second hole drilled a little bit better with some cutting fluid. And just so you can see it, I had to make a little relief back here on this back side. That's essentially for this little piece of this stainless sheet metal that's curled over the top right there to keep it so that everything would sit flat up against there. So I don't know if you can see it, you really can't, but this fillet weld right here is actually a little bit bigger down here on the bottom 1.5 inches. I'm going to just take a grinder and push that back a little bit so we got better clearance, because it's this clearance along the edge here makes a difference how well you can adjust. So essentially what you're going to have is about 3/32 of an inch clearance between the outside edge of that plate and this fillet weld. Give me some little extra adjustment on this top inside corner. I did back bevel it some, so it'll go right over the top of that fillet weld a little bit if needed. So probably not needed, but I did it anyway. So normally this plate would go on like so, and that would be your stop. But we have this little stop here, and I really don't need this stop. So when the log stop is all the way down, it will not obstruct this stop right here. So that's what I'll use. So I'm just going to take this and turn it over, and you won't even see it. So I should be able to put it on now. I had to move this solenoid. I'll have to reposition this angle iron and that solenoid. Now that's the problem. I gotta turn this bolt around. Alright, second time's the charm. There we go. So as you can see, I have the 3 log stops installed, and I started installing the bar that will actually turn the gears, the sprockets. I'll show it to you right here. Unfortunately, I'm missing some key components such as the extended length set screws that go in the sprockets there that will actually go into the rod. So I'm waiting on that. So I'm not going to put any more chain on than this one chain that's already on there. Now that rod right there, I just reused the rod. That those of you that got a 1400, you know about the hand crank for the log turner. Well, that's the rod that came off that hand crank. I was going to buy some slotted shaft, make it easier to secure the sprockets to the shaft. But after seeing that it's going to cost me around $300, I decided to go old school and just use this bare rod. Not the best thing to do, but I can always tack the sprockets off to the rod if I have to. So ultimately, all this wiring is going to have to be moved over here to the front, where most of it already is. So I got to move this angle iron out of the way. Back here and back is where the winch will be mounted, and the sprocket will go on that rod there and provide the power we need to go up and down on these log stops. So I'm thinking about this right here is where we're going to cut this video off. Oh, one other thing. You can see right there where the drive rod is actually hitting the log turner. In fact, I don't even have the log turner all the way down right now because of it. And so the log turner is either going to have to be moved out a little bit. And then, of course, because it's being moved out, it'll have to be shortened. So while I'm doing that, I'll probably turn that end of that log turner up about 3 inches so we can actually cradle the log and be easier to turn the logs. So the good thing is that the rod's actually going to go underneath the chain for the log dog, so it's not going to interfere with it. So got something right. So all in all, not looking bad. I think it's going to work well. Just got a lot of wiring to do. Put in another solenoid. Put in some new switches in the box. Alrighty. Thank you for watching.